Okay, so at 2:15 they checked me again. They told me I was ready to practice push, and I was feeling like a lot of pressure down below. Uh, and I assumed it was normal. It was definitely towards that painful side now. It was not so much pressure anymore. It was actually like hurting. After a few pushes, they told me they were going to change my position. So they changed it to what they called the queen position, which is basically like you're sitting on a throne. They lowered the bottom part of my bed down, so I was like sitting on a big chair basically, and then they raised the my back, so I was sitting almost straight up. Uh, and it started getting really intense when I was doing that because and they said that was normal. That's what they're trying to do, because all the baby, just has like that weight and it's just pushing down on you. So it was really intense. Um, Anyways, they told me I had to do it for 20 minutes, and I ended up like begging them to lay me back down because I couldn't do it. I sat there and squirmed through like 3 or 4 contractions, and I was just like, please lay me down. I don't care that this is helping or not. It hurts, and um, I was still kind of freaking out because like my epidural seemed like it wasn't working or something because I was feeling so much pressure. So once I was lying back down, they told me to do some more pushing. And they said they wanted the baby to basically be crowning before the doctor came in. And I don't know if it was at this point or a little bit later on. They actually had me turn on my side. So like one side was laying on the bed flat and the other one was up in the opposite stirrup that it should be, if that kind of gives you like a description or an image in your head. Anyways, I was laying on my side with my legs open, pushing, and that was crazy too. That hurt. Ugh. Not as bad as the queen though. Okay, so anyways, and I started feeling the contractions. They like in my sides now. It wasn't just the pressure; it was like in my sides, and they were coming really hard and really fast together, and I couldn't rest. I was like begging for them to fix it. They called the anesthesiologist again. She came in. She put another vial or whatever of something in that epidural line, and it didn't work. And I just felt, and I was like feeling almost everything now. I think, to be honest, it was probably slightly dulled because the epidural was there, but I was still feeling so much pain. Um, like I would say like 90% of probably what I would be feeling. That's how bad it hurt. Uh, so I was like thrashing around, I was whimpering, I was like crying at some points because and I know it didn't help, but I, uh, I was like freaking out. So I'm sure if I would have like remained calm, it might have like helped a bit more. It was hard to do, and my mom laughs at it now because she was in there with me, So my mom laughs because I kept looking at her, and I would tell her they lied. They told me it wouldn't hurt, and it does. Why did they lie to me? And I wasn't really meaning like the nurses. I was meaning, sorry, I'm nursing, so if you see me looking down, I wasn't really meaning the nurses. Like, I didn't think they lied to me. I was thinking like all my friends that were like, oh, I had an epidural and it was great. Get the epidural, you won't feel anything. And I'm like, they lied because I'm feeling a lot. And, so, uh, yeah. So I just kept saying that over and over. Uh, they told me to push through the pain, and one of the nurses, was like, just push through the pain, and I refused. I was like, no, you make it stop hurting, and then I'll push. And it was funny, because I think at the time I thought if I threatened not to push, they'd, like, find some miracle cure, and I was really surprised when they didn't. She just was like, okay, and then she walked over to the other side of the room and was like, busying herself, doing something. I don't know if she's actually doing something or she's just like psyching me out. And she just was like, okay, whatever. And like maybe 2 contractions later, I was like, okay, I need to push, because I realized that like it did help to push. I mean, it still hurt, don't get me wrong, but it was like a different sort of pain when I was pushing through the contractions rather than just sitting there, and I could deal with it better than the actual pain. So anyway, I pushed. Um, I was like shaking the bed. I had it like the armrest, and I was just shaking it like it's like hard. And uh, sorry, I felt like I was gonna break the bed. It was funny. I was getting anywhere from 2 to 3 contractions. They'd be back to back. They were having me push 3 to 4 times each contraction. So I would feel the end of the contraction, and I'd be like, oh good, I can rest for a second, and then it would just start again. So I'd have to push, and it was just so exhausting. Because I was still on Pitocin. They didn't stop that like the whole time I was in labor. They didn't stop the Pitocin drip. I thought they would. I don't know why I did, but I just thought like once I was to a certain point they'd be like okay, and they turned it off, but they didn't. um, and then okay, I was so sure I was making progress because but I guess I wasn't because the nurse checked and she said I had like the interior lip. I don't know exactly what that means, but it was sliding back over the baby's head when they would like crown, and then he'd kind of like go back, and so it would slide over. So when I was contracting and pushing, she would put her fingers up inside and like pull the lip, and that hurt, but yeah. So like pull the lip, and then my house is getting worked on if you can hear that bang. They'd pull the lip and they'd have me push. Sorry. I'm trying to see all my notes. And then so I guess someone must have called the doctor. I don't know who, because they like no one left. I don't know, but finally like he was there, and I was thinking like, okay, good, he'll fix this. He'll make sure I'm not in pain. And we're gonna have the baby. It's gonna be all great. And he came over to me, and he was watching one of my pushes with the whole pulling that inner lip back or whatever. And he was, you know, they were all saying like, despite that it wasn't making any progress, I was pushing really well, so it wasn't like a fault on my end. Well, as far as I was pushing, it was just inner fault. And then he like looked up at me and he was like, Michelle, you're not going to be able to have this baby by yourself. So I'm going to end this and go to the next part.